Hello, I'm going to be the first presenter for this podcast today, and it is on geoengineering and the Anthropocene. My section is part one, the contemporary issue. Um, when we talk about this issue, the first thing is to welcome viewers to the idea of the Anthropocene and understanding that our main idea is since the shift in the geological calendar to the Anthropocene, global climate change has worsened because of human activity. Geoengineering is one solution proposed to climate change, as you can see from the chart located on the presentation. And the efforts we implement now can have a serious impact on the future. And we need to understand that we need to consider future generations and how our actions today might affect them. And we have options today that will allow us to fix these issues in regards to climate change. But this is not without risk. Everything comes with risk in life, and this geoengineering is no exception. With any interference with nature, there's a serious risk, and the biggest issue with interfering with nature is that we can't not because have already poisoned our planet and we need a solution, so we cannot do nothing. And we have done this through pollution. So we need to reverse these effects now to avoid any impact of climate change in the future. From a quote from a good article on the subject, we look at the New York Times, Clive Hamilton. He says, yet by bringing geoengineering from the fringes of the climate debate into the mainstream, it legitimizes a dangerous approach. And that is an important understanding that we need to be mindful of where we're going with geoengineering, and just because I enjoy the concept of geoengineering does not exclude it from reasonable scientific doubt. Um, One serious risk is that geoengineering could have unforeseen impacts on the planet, and this could be a serious issue because unforeseen impacts definitely have a way of getting into science and causing issues. One thing we can do that's great is recycling, and this reduces climate change, and it comes at it with a multifaceted approach. As you implement geoengineering, recycling, and such measures, it can help the situation, and it is better than just doing one thing. It's coming at it with multiple different angles. If you look at the chart here, we have reduce, reuse, recycle for happier Earth, and that kind of conveys what we need to do. Is that basically we need to implement a variety of tactics, and it will definitely help the earth. And one quote that is from a knowledgeable person from Harvard that I found interesting from one of these readings enclosed for this document, the sources, is that the planet is warming at an unprecedented rate, and reducing emissions of greenhouse gases alone is not enough to remove that risk. I feel that encapsulates my opinion on the subject. The ocean is important to geoengineering as it is a very large part of the planet, and it makes up the majority of the space. And so we need to incorporate the ocean into the mindset of geoengineering and consider it and use it for a variety of different geoengineering methods. If we look at this chart, we can see an ecosystem approach. And when looking at that ecosystem approach, we also must understand the risks and rewards of interacting with the ocean and the geoengineering that can take place in the ocean. When we look at this quote from Wilford Brimley, hopefully generations after us will continue to protect, preserve, and look after this wonderful land. I feel that encapsulates the idea behind this situation, and it's important to understand that the environment is important for each person's future, and we cannot be selfish when regarding the environment. Lastly, I feel like everyone, as a Montanan, especially in the audience, can definitely understand the importance of uh, geoengineering. As we love to get outside, we love to do fun things, hiking, skiing, fishing, whatever your activity is. It's important to think of those beautiful days outside and how we can preserve the earth for your future, for you, and for future generations.
Hi, my name is Jeff Link, and this is the historical context of the Anthropocene. So, to understand the historical nature of the Anthropocene epoch, it must be defined. The Anthropocene epoch is, quote, an unofficial interval of geologic time making up the third worldwide division of the Quaternary period 2.6 million years ago to the present, It is characterized as the time in which the collective activities of human beings bend to substantially after Earth's surface, atmosphere, oceans, and systems of nutrient cycling. Climate science and this proposed epoch greatly intertwine with our recent extended history and play a major role in the evolution of humanity. Through the role of energy systems, urbanization, and climate change, humanity has accelerated into a new geological epoch, the Anthropocene. First, I would like to look at the kickstarting factor into why this proposed epoch has come about, which is our energy systems. Prior to the 1700s, there were hardly any fossil fuels in use until coal entered the picture. For the next 200 years, coal and oil would account for 75% of human energy use. Greater use of these fossil fuels allowed humans to advance greatly over a short period of time. They were able to become more productive, but with the consequence of disrupting global ecosystems. Energy systems were the initial force that would eventually drive all other issues found in the Anthropocene. Next, I would like to talk about urbanization. Urbanization has played a massive role in the past 150 years. Cities consume close to two-thirds of the world's total energy and thus account for more than 70% of the world's total greenhouse gas emissions and a large portion of its waste. Urbanization has been a historic cause of what geologists are calling the Anthropocene. The 21st century is the first urban century in history. Current projections suggest that 60 to 80% of the world population will live in urban settlements by the end of the century. Urbanization affects both the climate and the weather. And last, but certainly not least, we have climate change. Probably everyone's favorite topic when it comes to the sciences. But seriously, climate change and the Anthropocene are completely intertwined. Without climate change, which has been caused by human activity, the term Anthropocene wouldn't have been coined. According to NASA, the Earth's temperature has risen 1.7 degrees since 1880. This doesn't seem like a large enough a number to have an effect on the global climate, but it is a serious number. We are losing 13.3% of our Arctic ice every 10 years. The most visible effect that is causing the Anthropocene is carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases in our Earth's atmosphere. The current atmospheric content of CO2 is all the way up at 405.92 parts per million, according to NASA. Climate change, urbanization, and energy systems have all contributed and connected to the formation of the Anthropocene epoch in climate science. The history of how we have affected the Earth, atmosphere, and planet-wide ecology may give us the answers to what we need to do to solve the issues. These are issues we face as a species, issues we can fix together. Thank you.
Hello, this is Iwaki, and I'm going to reframe the issues through the part 1 and 2. Let's think the issue from historical perspectives. There are a couple of historical perspectives for this. First of all, after the Industrial Revolution, we started using fossil fuels and it emits carbon dioxide with greenhouse effect. Moreover, many people moved to big cities to get jobs because society got industrialized. Thus, some places got so urbanized that the amount of emission is massive in big cities. As a result, the amount of carbon dioxide got increasingly bigger. Even today, urbanization is still continuing, especially in developing countries like Southeast Asia. Some people promote geoengineering to stop global warming. However, there is a problem with geoengineering, which is risk. As you can see, there are two types of risks. One possible risk from geoengineering is that sometimes known as Plan B, geoengineering covers a variety of technologies aimed at deliberate large-scale intervention in the climate system to counter global warming. However, many people say it is scary. This is because we believe we could control climate and this may have terrible influence on our life. In addition, while some geoengineering promoters think it as a method of buying time for the world to get its act together, others think it as a substitute for cutting emissions. This is very risky because they do not focus on stopping global warming, but do this for their own benefits. This is improbable. Um, One possible solution is to spray sulfur acid with jets. The sulfur combines with water vapor to form sulfate aerosols, fine particles less than the micrometer in diameter. These get swept upward by natural wind patterns, and are dispersed over the globe, including the poles. Once spread across the stratosphere, the aerosols will reflect about 1% of the sunlight hitting us back in space. This method is very cheap and easy. Uh, this is also there is also a reputation for this solution, which is that it could cause disrupting precipitation process or further eating away the ozone layer that protects us from damaging ultraviolet radiation. This is also good on paper but won't work. In historical aspects, there have been many geoengineering which have changed climate. I mean, those are not person. For example, plankton and their ancestors were the first geoengineers. They created greenhouse effect by bubbling out oxygen in ocean. After that, oxygen made up 10% of whole air. As a result, fossilized sunshine like coal, oil, and natural gas became gas, and then carbon dioxide piled up in the sky, which swayed the Earth in unclear gases. Therefore, it prevents the planet from shedding back to space some of the sun's heat. Uh, Here is another plan to reduce climate change, which is to use photosynthesis to bind the excess CO2 in carbohydrates and then bury the food beneath land or sea, like copying nature. However, some people are skeptical about this because it is unsure whether it would even work. So people can benefit and suffer from geoengineering. If geoengineering works enough, we could stop global warming. I mean, it would be beneficial for all human beings if it works correctly. On the other hand, it will reduce rainfall like on sunshade scheme, so people living in dry areas will suffer. Also, it will cause regional climate with disastrous effects such as hurricane. Therefore, people living where it could be disaster will suffer. We perhaps should think this issue not only as climate science but also as anthropocene by considering the history of our past success. Thank you.